Right, so Dynamite is tonight. We haven't got the full card released yet, and honestly, it's 8 p.m. I've got stuff to do. I normally wait, and honestly, last few weeks we've been lucky enough to get the full card, so gonna do it with only 4 matches confirmed, but there's a lot to guess that's gonna be happening on Dynamite, so let's get into it because that's what I do. So, first off is a match that we have with Hangman Adam Page versus Mark Davis. Now, Mark Davis having a singles match is due to the unfortunate timing of injury. Torn bicep, I think, or tricep. I think it's bicep. To Jake Doyle, a.k.a. Jake something, in the tag match against FTR last week. Such a shame. Such a massive shame. I loved how Davis and Doyle... David, that should be the new name. Davis and Doyle were going, and it's so sad. But just keep Mark Davis active. I think that's... even you could honestly have Mark Davis having a tag with Lance Archer, maybe. You know what I mean? Still a big guy, maybe. That could be fun. But either way, Hangman should win, because I feel like Hangman wins this. I think this is his... I think if he wins this, he's guaranteed the match at Grand Slam Australia. I feel like a lot of this will be build up to Grand Slam Australia. So I think Hangman obviously wins. I think it'll be a great match. I think Hangman and Davis are 2 reliable calls for a good match. The archetypes work quite well, but Hangman's Hangman. You know what I mean? I don't expect this to be the longest of matches. I expect this match to kind of have a promo after it, maybe between Hangman and either MJF or Kenny or Andrade, depending what happens on there. I'll talk about that in a second. Should be fun. I'm looking forward to this match a bit. I like Mark Davis. Again, I'm just happy they're keeping Mark Davis active and not on ice because of the Jake Doyle injury. Sucks. Maybe we have some other Don Callis stuff going on, but I don't know. I feel like Hangman has to win here to get that Grand Slam match, but maybe just cut a straight up promo, which, you know, I'm always a sucker for a Hangman promo. But yeah, I think that could be really fun. So after this, the next match we have on our little so far matches released is Ricochet versus Jack Perry for the AEW National Belt. To be completely blunt, I think the belt is going to change hands. I think it's a good call. I feel like it's a great decision to have Ricochet originally hold it and then Jack Perry be a good guy to kind of represent AEW too. Homegrown guy, one of the 4 pillars, which was dumb as hell. This should be a match. I enjoyed their last few matches they've had. I think it's 2 they've had individually. My friend Tallman, he doesn't really like... he loves Ricochet, but he doesn't really like the feud. I think it's fine. I think it's got a purpose. And honestly, I think Ricochet and the GOA are entertaining as all hell. And honestly, I'm still glad that Jack Perry's a babyface. So probably doing a lot for me. But I don't know if a lot of people aren't liking it a lot. I do think Ricochet having the national belt adds lots of his, not character because he's still the same, but, you know, just validates him as a character. I feel like Jack Perry beating him for that belt could just have Ricochet freed up. I think Ricochet's just funny as hell. So whatever he does, I do not care. It's just funny. He could have the belt, whatever. I think the belt, again, adds something to him, but I feel like they'll try and take the belt off and maybe go down the trios route. That makes sense. Hangman versus Ricochet is a feud. The GOA versus Jet Speed already bangs. Oh my god, it works so well. I think it's going to happen. Maybe that's what they confirm if Hangman doesn't have the title match decided at Australia, maybe. But they'll definitely set up something for Australia with Ricochet. I'd be shocked if he's not on that card. But I think Jack Perry wins this. I do. I feel like that's a solid call. I feel like it makes sense. And normally I don't really like predicting title changes because, you know, a lot of times it's like, oh, it's the shock. But I feel like this one has been built up quite well if you've been watching the TV. And honestly, I think the match, even from an in-ring standpoint, is obviously going to be great. We've had that with these 2 already. But it'll just be entertaining. The character way from Ricochet just carries so much. So I think the title changes happen. And I think this match could be really fun. So, our title match, our AEW Men's World Championship title match, is between... it's an eliminator, sorry. It's MJF versus Brody King. Now, because it's an eliminator, part of me is leaning towards the Brody King win. But then also, I feel like MJF winning makes the most sense because it's MJF. I feel like this match will open. I do. I feel like because if it is still an eliminator, if I'm not mistaken, I feel like if it is an eliminator, Brody could win by any means necessary. Hopefully Bandido's involved, because I've missed Bandido the last few weeks. I feel like he's due at a little appearance. If it doesn't open, I expect the backstage segment with Bandido and Brody. I'm expecting that. But in general, either way, if it opens, I don't know. I feel like this is very hard to call because being an eliminator, you're going, oh yeah, Brody's going to win to set up a title match at Australia. But it's also like, it's the most MJF thing to do to just have Brody lose and then Max B have no match on Australia and then honestly just give him the Kyle Fletcher match. But then I'm not being funny. I don't. Or Juice. They could give him a Juice. Well, Juice is injured. You know what I mean? I'm trying to think if they'll give an Australian a title match maybe, but I don't know. I think Brody wins. I'm going to go balls to the wall. I think Brody will win in some antics way. Hope Bandito's got an involvement. But I think this could be fun. I do. MJ, I feel like this should open. I feel like this should open 100%. Because I feel like they've really made the point of the last few weeks where during the MJF segments, it should, like, look at last week how it ended. It was phenomenal. Kenny appeared, then Andrade, then Hangman, and then that's not even including Brody. And then Swerve's still in the mix too. And then you've still got other people probably rise. And when Ospreay comes back, Max has still got that title. So I feel like they want to do that. If Brody wins, they'll make a point of MJF being like, I can't escape. Everyone's after me. Kenny will go up and go, one more match. You know, shit like that. I think his head will go. I feel like that makes sense. Then you got to have the next match, obviously, with I'll talk about it in a second. But I think MJF will watch that and have some interaction with that too. But I feel like this match could be really good. I love Brody Kingston matches anyway. I'm a fan of MJF. This works. So I can't wait for this. And I remember the last time they had a match, it was fun. So I feel like this I'm going to enjoy. So, final match we have confirmed so far, which is still a bit weird, but I'm not really caring, is Kenny Omega versus Andrade. I really, really, really love Kenny and Andrade. I do. I feel like Kenny's matches last few weeks have been excellent, and Andrade's just been on fire. I cannot wait for this match. I really can't. I think, personally, they're going to give the win to Kenny. I feel like it'd be silly not to. I feel like they'll want to have Kenny and Hangman in Australia. It's a big match, and they want to make a big deal of that. As much as I see, either way, whoever wins, I'm more than happy. I'm a fan of Andrade. I'm a fan of Kenny. It all works for me. And honestly, I want the Andrade versus... Pardon me, I want the Andrade versus Max feud. I want that. I think that's been built perfectly online, so I think that's what makes sense. But I think it reeks of Kenny. And obviously with further stuff going on, I feel like it makes more sense in the world to have Kenny finally win the belt again. So I think personally, we can just enjoy the match and whatever result happens. Honestly, if they had the balls to do this, and I would kill for this. This is what my ideal outcome would be. Have this like a time limit draw or some shit. No DQ. Have it a triple threat at Australia. Andrade versus Kenny versus Hangman. Oof. Could you imagine that as a match? Oh my god. But they'll do Kenny and Hangman straight up. I feel like that's the one that makes sense. Shame, but Andrade's been nuts. Honestly, Swerve could cost them this match. It's not out of the question with how he's been moving recently. This match is really... This should be an event. If it doesn't main event, I'll be baffled. I think Max will obviously have interactions after the match, you know, regardless what happens to Brody. So, that could be fun as fuck. But I really cannot wait for this. Either way, whoever wins at this... Honestly, if it's a draw, triple threat at Australia, oh my word. Do you imagine how good that shit will be? Oof, I cannot wait for this. So, other things to guess from, I will predict. I think the main things, we'll get a Tommaso Ciampa promo backstage to promote the Open Challenge he's got on Collision this Saturday. They'll try and put that over again. Maybe him and Briscoe have a small little interaction. I think Takeshita and Moxley have to have an interaction. I think that's more than solidified. Fletcher will be involved in some way because Australia is not without Kyle Fletcher. And they'll probably promote the Tony versus the intergender match with Tony and Orange versus Marina and Yuta more. I think stuff like this. The big question people are having is AJ debuting here? Hell no, he's not debuting here. I'd kill. If AJ Styles debuts tonight, I'll cry, but it ain't happening. I think it's a pay-per-view debut. It's got to be. People think of Revolution. I think All In. But then again, they'll build the back foot. I don't know. It's so hard. But either way, AJ is the topic of the town. I don't know. It's happening eventually. I've said that before, but it is happening. So either way. And I hope we get some more predictions for... Well, more stuff confirmed for Australia. I've got a big theory in my little brain what's happening with Australia, but I'm going to make that on the video predicting that. But either way, a lot of stuff going on Dynamite. A lot of stuff still yet to be confirmed, so that's always fun. But either way, Kenny versus Andrade is going to fucking cook. So yeah, that's the predictions for Dynamite tonight. What do you think is going to happen? How excited are you? And who do you think will get the title shot against? Do you think they're doing Kenny Hangman, or do you think there's any weight in what I'm saying with the triple threat? Because I love that idea personally. I think that could be phenomenal.